Real football might be over, but the offseason, much like the city of New York, never sleeps. We got coaching changes, free agency, the combine, the draft, and tons more action to cover to get ready for the next NFL season. Who's going to be the next rising star? What new coach is going to have the greatest impact? What free agent is going to take your team from pretender to contender? Let us be the voice of the NFL news. As Coach Mike Dubb, the real AG Alex Givens, young RG Robert Garcia, and yours truly, Coach Defense, break down everything from the NFL offseason right here on the NFL Offseason Blitz. Let's go.
I did not do that.
To all my heavy hitters and lockdown defenders, welcome to the NFL Offseason Blitz. I'm your host, Coach Defense. Alongside with me, you're rocking with the Lockdown Defense Sports Network.
You are tuning into the Lockdown Defense Sports Network.
Welcome. We are rocking with the Lockdown Defense Sports Network Offseason Blitz. We got a full show here today. We got a gentleman guest here. Captain Jack Rackham is joining us today on the Lockdown Defense Sports Network. The Salty Pirate is in the building. We appreciate his tutelage and his presence today. And let's get these drops out of the way. Let's talk about who's in the building today. The degenerate gambler himself, Mr. Over-Under, King Parlay, the young Padawan himself, and card-carrying member of the Boat Gang or Don't Bang fan club, young RG, Robert Garcia is in the building. The degenerate gambler himself, Mr. Over-Under, King Parlay, the young Padawan himself, and card-carrying member of the Boat Gang or Don't Bang fan club, young RG, Robert Garcia is in the building.
There we go. Thank you. Love the intro as always.
Indeed. Next up, claim that they are all good, but none of them are real. The co-host of the Lightning Fast Fantasy Football Podcast, the trenches guru, Mr. I'm in 10 fantasy leagues and I'm still winning. President of the You Can Hate Me Because You Ain't Me Chiefs fan club. Give it up for the real AG, Alex Givens.
Dang, I'm a little offended. Mine's not
And last but surely not least, from the DMV, Mr. Fall Out of Bed and Drop Big Views on YouTube. They call him Dub because all he does is win. Coaching, sports talk, and he might steal your girl if you're not watching. President of the We Back Commanders fan club, Coach Mike Dubb is in the building.
What's up, fellas?
And like I said at the top of the show, we got Captain Jack Rackham here in the building. Raiders legend, the Salty Pirate himself. You can find him each and every day, weekly, nightly, and wherever he feels like it, screaming on Captain Jack Rackham on YouTube. We are broadcasting simulcast live on this channel as well as NFL Nation Live. Shout out to the NFL Nation Live crew out there. Appreciate y'all for listening and holding us down as well. We got a jam-packed show for you guys today. We're going to get to it. We're going to talk about these NFL headlines today. There's a lot of things going on, even though it's preseason. It's right around the corner. We're getting ready for training camp, less than 30 days for most people. So we're going to get into some headlines, and we're going to talk about a few things. We got some things on the docket. We're going to talk about the Lions and the Eagles. We're going to talk about the Bengals. We're going to talk about some trades, some big contracts that are looming. People want to get paid. We're going to talk about a lot of things in this hot button news right now. So although it's the offseason, the city never sleeps when it comes down to the NFL. So, gentlemen, first and foremost, go around the room real quick, see how y'all feeling. The real AG, Alex Givens, how you doing, good brother?
Man, doing good, Coach. Excited to do our first run with our boy Captain Jack and the NFL Nation Live crew, and ready to get chopping up about these issues.
Yes, indeed. Captain Jack Rackham, good sir, how you doing? How you feeling out there? Good to see you.
I'm okay. If I went through all of my medical ailments, then we wouldn't have any time for talking sports. So other than my knees, I'm doing okay. You got to add for the real Alex Givens, the Kingdom of the Smugs Network. You know, I think you missed that when you did your intro.
Oh, okay. That's a good one. That's a good one. We might have to add that to the drop. I
We
like
lost. Smugness is over. You know,
it. It's on
until
hiatus.
2025, then it's
The
back,
smugness is
baby.
on hiatus. I'm there. I hear you. I hear you. Okay. Young RG, Robert Garcia, how you doing, good brother? How you feeling out there?
Doing good, sir. Like we mentioned, it's the kind of the dry season right now of NFL, but we're gonna populate it. We're gonna bring the rain and the thunder.
I like it. I like it. Nice. No pun intended, right?
Yeah, no pun intended.
Indeed, indeed. Coach Mike Dove, good brother. What's going on out there?
Hanging in there, man. Trying to stay cool. It's a heat wave going across this nation, man. So I'm trying to get some of this AC, But
Listen,
dog days of summer, yeah.
Came in Friday and hit us with 100-degree weather right away, didn't we?
Yeah. So it's almost that time though. Just trying to stay cool.
Indeed. Yes, indeed, man. So, I am your boy, Coach Davis, as always, bringing it to you live and direct. No holds barred, none unfiltered, as most people would like to give us credit for. So let's talk about some NFL news, man. Let's get right into it. So it's like I said, there's some interesting news going on here today in regards to what the NFL is going to look like in 2025. And if you haven't been checking out our NFL preseason previews videos, please check those out each and every day at 3 p.m. We're running through the NFC North right now. I believe the Bears video came out today, Alex, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, sir.
All right, so definitely check that out on the channel. Hit that subscribe button as always. Let everybody know we're out there on the YouTube algorithm streets. But getting into the NFC North and East to start the conversation off, there was a lot of turnover in the Eagles and the Lions organization that people are not really focusing on. So they were down 2 coordinators in one team and 1 coordinator in another. And, as we all know, if you watch football profusely or you're an avid fan, losing coordinators, much like head coaches, is a big deal. So the Eagles are clearly Super Bowl champions, and they lost their offensive coordinator in the offseason, going over to the Saints to be the head coach. They promoted within the ranks, and they got a new offensive coordinator now in 2025. And then turn it over to the Lions. The Lions lost their offensive and defensive coordinators, and that's a big deal. Now, the Lions are really right on the cusp of getting to the Super Bowl in the last couple of years. So will this, particular change affect them to the point where they may take steps back? So let's start off with Coach Mike Dove. We'll let him lead this topic off. Give us your opinion on the Lions and the Eagles changing of the guards and how this may or may not affect them in 2025.
Yeah, so I'm going to give a precursor. I think this affects one team, and I think it doesn't affect another team, right? I'm going to tell you which one, and I'm going to tell you why. I talked about it a little bit in a previous video, and I'm going to dive a little deeper into it this week when we talk about the Lions. But I'm going to start with Detroit, right? So everybody loves Detroit. It's everybody's favorite underdog. They love rooting for them, all those things like that. I think that them losing both of their coordinators is going to affect them much more than it will affect the Eagles. One of the reasons why, number one, you looked at just the makeup of their coordinators and what they meant to that team. Aaron Glenn on that defensive side of the ball, players coach, all the guys love playing for him. That high energy. If you watch the Hard Knocks, you remember how him and the offensive side was going at it. So he brought a lot of energy. He brought a lot of things to that team. So that's a huge loss just in general with that locker room culture. Now they did promote within. They got a young defensive coordinator who was a linebacker coach there. So I think they're not going to hurt as much on the defensive side of the ball. But on the offensive side of the ball, it's going to be interesting to see how that transition happens, because we saw all the bells and whistles that they had with their previous offensive coordinator. Now they have a new guy in there that, came from somewhere different. He's an outsider. It's just going to be a little different seeing how he fits into that culture. I think my prediction is that they're going to start out struggling a little bit just from a culture standpoint and continuity standpoint. I think they'll probably be able to turn it around a little bit later on towards the end of the season. But, Detroit is another team that they're not used to winning, and they're not used to not being the underdog. So now, how are they going to come in as a whole organization, as a whole team, having to, be at the top? Now they're not sneaking up on teams. Teams know what they're expecting now. So I think it's going to be a little bit more of a transition for Detroit. Philly, on the other hand, Philly is a revolving door of, sometimes players, coaches, whatever. The system is the system in Philly. And it's actually funny. The offensive coordinator they're bringing in was their passing game coordinator. So I think that they may, lean a little bit more into their receivers, lean a little bit more into AJ and Devontae Smith, and maybe put the ball in Jalen Hurts' hands a little bit more. I don't know. But I think that it's interesting that their offensive coordinator now is more pass game oriented when they had more success in their run game. And we saw some of the rumblings about their passing game and things like that. But overall, I think Philly will be fine. They've changed coordinators before. Their defensive coordinator is still there. He was the one that made the major difference last year, and he's still there. So, Kellen Moore anytime you shake up coordinators is always going to be a little bit of adjustment period, but I definitely think it's going to affect Detroit more than Philly. I wouldn't worry too much if I'm Philly, but if it's Detroit, I think that it's going to affect them a little bit.
I like it. I like it. I like it. Our resident guest, Captain Jack Rackham, do you have anything to add to the topic? Anything that you want to refute, rebut, or agree with Mike Dub on?
Well, first off, don't talk about my butt. Okay, you were saying about stop that.
I did add the read on the beginning of that. I didn't just talk about that.
It's a late night show.
Right.
Hey, I am not rerun from. No, I'm just saying I am not rerun from what's happening. Do not talk about my butt, sir. That's all I'm saying.
My apologies.
And by the way, Mike Dub, where are you at, Mike Dub? What?
I'm in the DC area. Where? So the DC area.
Okay, good. Then I'll see you week 3.
I'll
see you week 3.
Yep.
Okay.
I'm looking forward to it.
No, actually, I think that Mike Dub pretty much put it on the head. Is that what's really going to hurt Detroit more than anything else is that even though they have people come inside, on the defensive side, Aaron Glenn did so much for that defense to make them gel at the right time. And they got somebody they promoted from within. The linebacker coach is basically an upgrade. They're keeping the same, or not, maybe not the same intensity, but they have the same overall groove. Okay, It's going to hurt a little bit, but they went from within. Now, when you get rid of a guy that just was everything on that offense, it was the greatest thing that Jared Goff has had in a while. Between the quarterback and then the running back play, and then even with the receivers, but he's gone. It's a double hurt, by the way, because not only does the offense get it's somebody that's from the outside coming in to changing a bunch of things, but he also goes within the division to go over to the Bears. So the Bears have been woeful for the last couple of years, but at least now the Bears have a little bit of an insight into what the Lions can do, and that's going to hurt them doubly. And as you were saying about the Eagles, they promote from within. It's basically a step up. There's going to be a little bit of a change. And I tell you, with the kid that went to the Saints, because he was in the Cowboys and then he went to the Eagles, and he's been primed for a head coaching position for a long time. So it's going to be great for him to finally get the step up that he needed. It's not going to affect Philly as much, but like I said, I won't be surprised if, and I'm not really sure who is going to be the contender that's going to be able to knock on that door. Green Bay has showed some promise. The Bears, like I said, are woeful, and the Vikings, we'll see. But the Lions are not going to be as dominant in the NFC as they have been the last several years. They kept going and rising and going and rising. They're going to take a step back a bit. So there might be somebody that can knock them off in the division, and then maybe even they can probably even knock themselves down in the playoff standings. But yeah, Philadelphia is just going to be continuing to be a dominant team, just maybe not as dominant, because Saquon's going to be asked to, well, your guy likes to throw a little bit more. Maybe. We'll see. If the guy is smart, the offense coordinator is smart, he shouldn't change too much of what worked last year. You have Saquon running. You got Jalen Hurts that can run and throw. And then you got the guys on the outside, and the tight ends in Philadelphia have always been a good asset for him. Don't broke what ain't, or wait, whatever. If it's not broke, don't fix it. There you go.
There you go. Okay. All right.
It ain't fit. You know what I meant.
I know what you meant.
Or whatever they said.
Right. Young RG, do you have anything to add to this particular gambit that's fresh and hot off the press?
Kind of diving into the betting side of it. Take the Lions under for their win total this year. It's going to be a tough step back for them this year. Eagles have experienced something very similar to this when not last season, but 2 seasons ago, when they got blasted by the Buccaneers in the playoffs. They had lost their 2 coordinators previously after their Super Bowl loss to the Chiefs. So, it's just inevitable to take a step back after that. Obviously, the hiring from within, that's kind of what you do when you're a winning franchise. Obviously, the Chiefs have done that. The Ravens do it. Like, all these cornerstone franchises will promote from within. That's kind of just what you do. Unless there's, Andy Reid is available, then, you probably go out there and make that move to sign him. But for the most part, I think, agreeing with what everybody else says, I don't think the Eagles are going to take too much of a step back. I see a little bit of one, but not anything massive. And for for the Bears, they're just in such
Lions.
a tough division. Excuse me, sorry, man. I see the Bears logo. For the Lions, they're in such a tough division. 3 of those teams made the playoffs last year, and everybody's expecting the Bears to take a step forward this year. If Caleb is who he's supposed to be, they're going to take that leap forward. So, it's going to be a tough division. So, I just think all in all, it'll be a small step back for the Lions, but I do think they will return to their winning ways sooner rather than later.
I like it. Real AG Alice Givens, what you got on that side of the fence?
Oh, a whole lot, buddy. Let me just put up my Windhurst fingers here. No,
Okay.
Robert kind of alluded to what I was going to push back on, talking about when the Eagles lost Steichen and Gannon after their Super Bowl loss, and people are just glossing over the fact that they hired from within, brought up Brian Johnson, and I think the linebackers coach to be, their new coordinators. And then at the end of that season, everyone's talking about, is Sirianni going to have a job? Do they need to move on from him? And what does he do? Cleans house with those guys, gets Fangio, who they hired as a consultant for the playoffs, to right the ship that didn't really work out, losing to the Bucs, and then bring in Kellen Moore. And so I think from the Eagles' perspective, obviously have a stacked roster. Some of this may be a little bitter Chiefs fan trying to hate a little more, but you look at what Kellen Moore did to rejuvenate the offense, you take that out, then it's up to Sirianni and his disciple to do better than what they did in 2024. I don't know that you could say that with the utmost confidence that it's going to not be a drastic change. And then the other side to the Lions, I do think there's going to be a step back, but I think when you compare Dan Campbell to Sirianni, I think Dan Campbell, again, just my assessment from seeing Hard Knocks and just like how he carries himself, I think he is more of the players coach that can get his team to rally behind him. So if things are going bad, I have more faith in Dan Campbell to get things right than if things are going bad in Philly, Sirianni to get things right. So, I just think people are really glossing over the fact of there was serious talks about him not having a job in 2024 because of how bad, I guess, 2023 went. And then he cleans house and gets Kellen Moore and Saquon to kind of save things. And now people are just assuming it's going to be the status quo.
Okay. All right. Wait, it must be Captain on the show because I heard the word rejuvenation. I thought my brain went left. It must be Cap Baby here. I don't know.
Well, I'm in your head already, Coach. I was going to say, Brian Johnson hasn't been the same since he left AC/DC.
Okay. Okay. Fair enough.
If you don't get it, look it up. Okay.
I get it. I'm not sure if all our fans get it, but I do. Like I said, if you don't get it, do your Googles. But yes, I definitely agree with you guys' assessment. I definitely think it's going to be the fact that the Eagles are so stacked. You shouldn't have, but so much of a fall off. They still got Fangio, so Divas should definitely still be stout. The long as Saquon doesn't have the Madden curse, rear his ugly head on him. He should be a year better than he was last year, with that comfortable O-line and that cushy O-line that he has. You just have to, just stay on schedule. You just don't get, too cute and too beside yourself and try to do things, out of the norm, and they should be fine, holistically. But the Lions do scare me. But the fact they lost both coordinators. The fact they lost both coordinators is definitely a scary move. We're going to really see, was it really the coordinators driving the train and Dan was just the culture guy, or does he really have to dig in and do some coaching here and get things, going again and bring it back up to the level it was when Johnson and Glenn were there? So it'd be an interesting thing to see, but I can't wait to see exactly how good or bad they're going to be in 2025. That's for sure. That's for sure. All right, so let's move on. Let's talk about another topic, another team that's in turmoil. The Cincinnati Bengals.
Oh man,
my God, the Cincinnati Bengals are, turmoil is being nice. I think crisis is another word that is generous as well in regards of the,
hell.
S show that is front office. It's definitely a cluster over there. If you get what I'm putting down, but this team in particular is at odds yet again with players. Yeah, it's like a broken record at this point.
What?
Right. Shamar Stewart and Trey Henderson, their top two edge rushers, are both at odds with the team. Both are threatening not to play if their contracts aren't resolved before the season starts. So let's talk about exactly what this whole dynamic means. And Shamar Stewart's situation to me is even more, I guess you can say, glaring than Trey Hendrickson's is. I mean, we've seen people want contracts before. We haven't seen this rookie issue before. So I'm going to turn it over to the real AG, Alex Givens, to start this particular topic and talk about exactly our lawyer at hand, our resident lawyer on the network, to break down exactly what's going on with these contracts and why they're not done.
Yeah. So, I mean, first and foremost, as you put it, Coach, it is a giant S show in big Cincinnati, dude. Like, it's like they it's like the guy in the relationship did something wrong. They threw a bunch of money at their QB and wide receivers to make it seem like, hey, we're not the old Bengals. We'll pay people. And then they turn around and are doing what they always do, with arguably the side that they should be trying to invest some money in with how bad last season went. But yeah, like you said with Trey Hendrickson, I mean, that's a tale as old as time, the aging vet who is still playing pretty damn elite football. I mean, he led the NFL in sacks, I think, across the last 2 or 3 years.
2 years for sure.
And he is entering, the final year of his deal and just wants to, have his future guaranteed a little bit more, which I don't blame him for what he's done. And, putting up that kind of elite numbers, you're going to want to have some guarantee past 1 year. And I think he's certainly earned that right. And I just don't get what the Bengals are doing with that. But like you said, it's a tale as old as time. So it's not like totally like WTF is going on. Right. But Shamar Stewart, from there, it's been a lot of, he said, she said, in terms of what's being reported from, the Bengals brass, from Stewart's team. But ultimately, it seems that they're trying to, set some new precedent with rookie contracts, which up to this point, I was of the impression those were pretty much already written. It just depended on where you got drafted. And you plug in the numbers and sign it and we're good. But, evidently here the Bengals are, like I said, trying to set a precedent, I guess, with rookies in terms of making, guaranteed money not necessarily be guaranteed if certain things happen, like contract debt, like some things that are kind of more of common sense, like conduct detrimental to a team or like doing something off the field to get suspended indefinitely. Yeah, that makes sense. But, in terms of what Stewart's, team's reporting is they're trying to make it kind of the language ambiguous enough, or I guess dance around things enough to give him outs if, he's not performing well or, gets an on-field suspension for targeting or something like that, that could void guaranteed money, which is not something we have ever seen in a rookie contract. And I guess leave it to the Bengals to try to do that, as a team that has glaring needs on the defensive side of the ball, invested a first-round pick to try to address that, and then want to pinch pennies before he even takes the snap for him. It just doesn't make any sense. And so I think the big picture is like, I just don't understand how a team that was so close to winning the Super Bowl and still somewhat is in that competitive window is trying to do everything they possibly can to not be in that window.
Right. Exactly. It's a lot. In the language and the dispute is on the screen. Please read it if you're watching this on YouTube. It is lengthy, but it's definitely worth the read. They're definitely trying to set some new precedents and trying to find, like Alex's point said, they're trying to find outs any way they can. If they don't like where he's performing, if they set a number that of sacks that they want him to have, and he doesn't make it, they can avoid his contract from that. There's a lot of default language in here, a lot of subjectiveness to this particular language in this contract that makes anybody a fool for signing. In all honesty, it really does make anybody a fool for signing, and I don't like it at all. I think it's nasty. And again, you appease and it's really dirty work, and you're trying to appease and massage away the angst that Joe Burrow has with his weapons, and then you totally poo-poo the other side of the ball when you gave up the most points, maybe in franchise history, at least in the Joe Burrow era, from a standpoint of your defense was completely porous last year. So you want to improve, but you don't. Like it's really a self-defeating prophecy is what the Bengals have going on right now. And I'm not sure what the ownership is thinking, but they have to honestly and truly take a look in the mirror and decide what they want to do. Do they really want to be serious about winning football games, or do they want to just look cute and orange? I mean, that's what it really boils down to for me.
And then you look at, and they did the same thing to Jesse Bates, and then he goes to Atlanta, and look how crappy their defense got. And now this is to the point where both Hendrickson and Stewart are saying, there's a realistic chance that neither one of them plays this year.
Stewart might go back in the draft. he very well might have a chance, the first player to get drafted twice.
You're messing my point, man. That was going to be my ace in the hole, baby, my ace in the hole. First off, I want to say I'm greatly offended by the language on this show. Okay? About XXOs and clusters and WTFs. You have got to stop this. My ears are not used to hearing things like that. So as an old man that does not would ever swear, please stop that. I'm gonna turn red right now. So no more S shows and things like that. But getting back to the point, and I thank you for teeing it up for me, Alex. About the only thing you've ever teed up for a Raider is the fact is that if I was Stewart and you're young and you're a first round talent, tell them to pack sand.
Yes.
So just say, don't sign anything. Don't sign anything until one or two things happen. Either they cave, and they should cave, or he pulls the Bo Jackson. And by the way, Bo Jackson told the Bucs, do not draft me number one. Do not draft me number one. And they did draft him anyway, and they screwed up. And he went in the draft the next year, and they thought that he wasn't going to be around, and then the Raiders picked him up in like the 7th round, which was awesome. But revisionist history. But if I'm Shamar Stewart, I tell them to pack sand, and it's unfortunate that two of the franchises that are just ridiculous for stupidity are both in the state of Ohio. Okay?
Hello.
The
Trying to say something?
Have been cluster. I can't remember what the word is for a while. Okay, and then you have the Cleveland effing Browns. I didn't see that.
Yeah. Yep. Stains.
So anyway, they're both, and they're both. It must be the Ohio water that is screwing up. That's all I'm going to say. I'm going to leave it at that. Shamar Stewart, tell you, brother, take a year off. Go on vacation.
Yeah.
Be good. Do what you want. Just don't get fat. Continue to work out. Do all of that things. Tell them to pack sand, because what they are trying to do to you is really, really messed up. And I leave it at that.
Agreed. Coach Mike Dell, what you got on this topic? Anything to add?
I mean, everybody said it already. One thing that stood out to me is that they said the contract is different from other rookie contracts that they had in the past. Like that would offend me if I'm Shamar Stewart. Like I can understand if this is a precedent or something like that. If this is something that, the club did every year to every first, but this is different from every other first rounder. So it's like, all right, so why'd you guys pick me if you're going to put all these stipulations into it and all these other things? And the last thing I'm going to say is, I I actually wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing a little bit more of this now that NIL is kicking in and guys aren't eating for the money. You know what I mean? They're not as desperate to sign on the dotted line anymore.
Yes.
Young athletes are starting to take a little bit more ownership and a little bit more agency in their actual careers. This is a old school contract that has, that a player has no bearing under it. You know what I mean? So this is the former NFL. This is the former way of doing things. And the Bengals, if they don't get with the new times and if they don't somehow adjust to this new athlete, then they're going to be left behind for a long time. So it's sad to see that, like I said, some of this language is just like, come on now, what are we doing here? You want the guy to play for you or not?
It's nasty work.
And I will add, he's not the only one they're doing it to. They're doing it to their second round pick as well. Demetrius Knight, or the linebacker. Yeah. He signed a waiver to participate in everything. But I mean, he's in the same dispute. He hasn't signed a contract, and they're trying to do the same thing. And the other interesting thing to add is Stewart's team, like I said, he's just trying to get the same contract that Miles Murphy and Mims got. It's just their last 2 first-round picks, and I think the Bengals are taking it from, well, both of those guys might be busts, so maybe we should try to recoup some guaranteed money from this guy, just because he's the victim of the times a little bit. But
beggars can't be choosers, though. Beggars cannot be choosers.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'm not saying that's just like that's a right justification, but I'm sure that's part of their thinking.
Yeah, right. And it's going to be interesting because if they don't have these draft picks to fill out their roster after spending all that money on that offense, what free agents are going to want to come there?
Very point.
You know what I mean? Like, you have to draft well, and you have to have a culture where guys want to play for you if you're going to spend all your money on your offense. So,
Yeah.
Indeed. Young RG, bring us home on this topic. Tell us how you feel about this.
I'm gonna throw out a little kind of something that I don't want to say y'all are overlooking, but I think something that gets overlooked as a whole by us as fans. I think the Bengals making that Super Bowl in 2022 was the worst thing that could have ever happened to that franchise, because the ownership basically was just like, oh, sweet. We got a superstar QB and we got 2 bona fide wide receivers. We don't got to do anything else. And it'll just, Burrow will sell enough tickets at, in and of himself that we'll turn a hefty profit at the end of the season. And that's basically all they're looking at this as. To me, this just shows that as a franchise, you don't care about winning. You're not serious about winning, and you're not serious about actually wanting to compete in this league, because there is no way in hell. And if Shamar Stewart, and to just echo what everybody else is saying, yeah, 100%, I would go to the Bengals front office and be like, kick rocks. I'm going to go back in the draft. You know what? Because I know I'm that good. Clearly, you thought I was that good too, because you took me in the first round. So I'm going to play, and you guys just lose out on a first round pick that you desperately need. I don't need you. You need me. And that's basically, which is crazy because we've never seen that level of power from a player, but that's basically where we are. And the whole league knows it too. So it's even just, it's that much more sad to think about that. It's so blatantly obvious that just do right by the players and give them what they deserve. They got this far. They deserve this. And, unfortunately, this is why, we hear the term loser franchises. This is why the Bengals are a loser franchise right here.
Loser and desperate is the words they use for those Ohio teams. If anybody, loser and desperate. Yeah. It's like the girl that's the last one in the bar at 4:00 and everybody's going home. Just saying. So we'll see how things shake out.
Man.
I think this is nasty work by the Bengals, and
this is dirty.
You walk into the 2025 season with no edge rushers. Yeah, Joe Burrow's going to have to score 50 points a game and still probably lose half of them. That's just where
I wouldn't be shocked too if, depending on how this plays out, like if the NCAA does kind of what basketball did and lets people report eligible for the draft, but then could decide to go back.
Right.
Because it's more money for them, so why wouldn't they do it?
Why not? And they could be one of those things where you look at it from a perspective that they could, if you see where you're going to be drafted at likely and you don't like it, like, hey, as a player, I got that out. I can go back anytime I feel like it. I'm just going to go back and play one more year of college and protect myself. That kind of thing.
Still make millions.
Still make millions.
Alex, you made a good point, and as a lawyer, I would not only would I tell the Bengals to kick rocks, but I would also sue the Bengals or something like that in order to go back to pick up NIL money, or say that if he had, let's say he had a year of eligibility, I would say, hey, they're doing this to me. I'm suing this. I want to make myself eligible for, and basically franchise himself to the best available college team if he wants to do that. And that would be a real precedent, because the Bengals are not only screwing themselves, they might open up a Pandora's box of like the old Jewish guy in the movie, aha, don't do that.
Yeah.
Somebody like that.
I have a feeling if it got to that point, Goodell would pick up the phone and say, "Pay him the money."
No, yeah.
What are you doing? What the F are you doing?
Emergency owners meeting, like, hey,
right now.
Pay the goddamn guy.
Like, we're getting a call from the banker. It's
Everybody
real.
just call the silence and let's talk this out right now. Call the silence. Let's go. Okay, good stuff. But yeah, I think we're all in agreement that the Bengals are idiots. So we'll just move on.
Yeah.
We already knew that. They're just They're just affirming it further.
Right. Just stamp it. Just really stamp it for everybody involved. Indeed. Okay. All right. So moving on to another topic. Let's talk about contract wars. So TJ Watt is looking for a new deal as well, much like Trey Henderson. It's like an AFC North thing. They're just trying to outdo each other for ineptness, I guess we could say. So then Terry McLaurin, Coach Mike Dub's favorite receiver right now, is looking for a new deal on his last year. And Jalen Ramsey is at odds with the Miami Dolphins in regards to where they settle with him being traded. He has a hefty contract on top of his ability to be traded. So where does this all end? How does this contract war all play out? Young RG, please lead this topic and tell us exactly how you feel about these particular organizations and how these things will play out in 2025 for these three gentlemen.
So it's a bit of a lot of differences between these three franchises here. You got, one cornerstone, legendary franchise in the Steelers. You got one once perhaps legendary franchise in the Dolphins, and I use that term loosely. I think Dan Marino was really the magic of that team, but they were at one point the hottest team in the league, and the Commanders, no offense, coach, but it's up until from last season, it was a real rough go of it there for a while.
Yeah, we just want to erase the Daniel Snyder years. Let's just do that.
So I don't even, I wasn't going to mention his name, he who should not be named, but,
okay, we'll use it for now. Good one.
Hey, so here we are, but, a lot more positive last season. So we'll just look on that and try to build off that. So we'll go ahead and start in Washington. Scary Terry is looking for a new deal. Now, obviously, this is sort of what happens. He just got his last deal was in 2022, I believe. And now after having this very successful season, this is typically what happens. Players start to be like, hey, I'm worth a little bit more. I'm a big reason why we're winning. I should get paid a little bit more. And you know what? I normally, as for wide receivers who are on the opposite side of 30, I typically am like, don't pay him. Obviously, Keenan Allen and the Chargers felt the same way with Keenan Allen. They didn't want to give him any more money, so they let him walk. I think for your young QB, the fact that you still have him on a rookie deal, I am okay with giving McLaurin this extension. Just because, when was the last time? Well, it was Big Ben. We've seen a rookie QB take a team to a conference championship game. So, this doesn't really happen, and you're in an ultra competitive division. You need to stay on top of your weapons as much as possible. The biggest weakness for the best team in your division is the secondary. And obviously we're talking about the Eagles. So you obviously want to stack up as much weaponry as you possibly can to exploit that any chance you get. I think we even saw it last year for the Commanders. The best chance they had against the Eagles was when they were putting up tons of points. If you let that Eagles defense consume you early on, it's really tough to try to get back into it because they're just going to pound the rock, and you're never going to see the field for maybe more than 12 minutes in any given half. So I think this is a no-brainer for the Commanders. The only thing is I've seen rumors that he is asking for a lot more than what the going rate kind of is for receivers right now. I think the projections were they wanted to give him somewhere between 30 and 31 mil per year. He's looking at like 35, 37 per year. And now that's absolutely outrageous. I'm not giving that to a wide receiver, like I mentioned, on the worst side of 30. So, take that for what you will. I would love for them to re-sign him, but not at that price. So this one is kind of left in limbo. There's two right answers. Obviously, yes, you need to re-sign him, and he should be re-signed, but not for that number. It needs to be the right number. We see it every year. Wide receivers can just fall out of the first, second, and then wide receivers fall out of the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th round, and obviously we see the ones come out of the 1st and 2nd that produce right away, the Malik Neighbors, the Brian Thomas Juniors. So there is talent to be had in the draft, and you can, at that position especially, but just somebody that already has that rapport with Daniels, you want to keep around. You want to see what you can do while you have JD under this rookie deal. So yeah, kind of a half and half there. I apologize for that, but this one was a little bit more funky than the rest of them. Moving on to a much easier one now. The Dolphins, this one's pretty much straight up. They're going to trade him. Jalen Ramsey has already requested a trade. The rumors are he wants to go to a West Coast team. Obviously, it makes all the sense in the world for him to go back to the Rams, just the familiarity with the system, won a Super Bowl with them. I mean, it just makes all the sense in the world. They're a team that is ready to compete now. Dolphins wouldn't mind sending him over because they're on the NFC, so you get him out of the conference entirely. So it just makes sense all the way around. I think this one gets solved sooner rather than later. There really is no reason for the Dolphins to hold on to them. The Dolphins aren't doing anything, and much to the chagrin, I'm sure the Dolphins fans are hearing this. You guys aren't doing anything next year. Let it sink in now, so when the season approaches, it's not as disappointing. But just know right now that it's not happening this season for y'all, okay? Barring, and I'm knocking on wood because I hate saying this, the injury clause, but barring massive injuries to your division, you're not doing anything this season. So try to get anything you can for him. They need to rebuild that entire franchise. Tua is not the guy, and they're stuck with him under that massive contract. So you can't upgrade your team any more than it already is. You're in a division with Josh Allen. So, it's tough, man. It's a really tough situation for the Dolphins. They had one good year of relevance there where, they look like the best offense the league had ever seen. And then the league very quickly as they ascended, they very quickly descended once the league figured out, you just got to pressure the little guy, and he can't really do much once you get pressure on him. And unfortunately, he is brittle. So get him on the ground a couple of times, he might just damn well knock him out for the rest of the year. So as sad as it is, and I'm in no means a Tua hater, that's kind of the state of the franchise right now. So yeah, take that for what you will. I think, like I mentioned, Rams are a great landing spot for him. I think the Chargers will be a great landing spot for him, a West Coast team. Hey, him and Derwin James, college teammate. Hey, but that's besides the point. So yeah, I think there are some legitimate landing spots for him on the West Coast, and it's just a matter of when do the Dolphins want to trade him? Essentially, is what we're waiting for here. And to wrap this one up, the final guy here we're talking about is, of course, T.J. Watt. Now, this one is. Funny enough, all three of these guys have a different ending in sight, I feel. One is a little bit of a toss-up. You do want to sign him, but if the money is right. One is an absolute trade. You're shipping him off. There's no reason for you to hold on to him. And one is you better sign him. Your defense kind of, as a whole, relies on him. And obviously in TJ Watt, this should get done. No problem whatsoever. I think the latest reports are that they are somewhat kind of closer on a deal that's just kind of crossing your T's and dotting your I's, so we'll see what happens with that. But this is a no-brainer. I mean, why as a premier edge rusher are you letting that kind of talent walk? Your defense, which has been the staple of your franchise for the last 10 years, has been that unit because of him. So, and this would be like, you know, if Chris Jones was 5 years younger in a contract year and, you know, it's the Chiefs deciding like, well, should we pay him? It's like, yeah, you should. I mean, he's proven every year why he is that guy and why he deserves the money. And I mean, we've seen your team without him and it's not nowhere near the same. So I think this should be a slam dunk, and it sounds like it will. The Steelers are usually pretty good at paying their homegrown talent. It's really rare you see, unless there's serious character concerns, you really rarely see them, you know, send away some of their homegrown talent. So I think this deal gets done again sooner rather than later. You know, make him the highest paid by a 2.5 mil if that's what you need. But you know, just pay the man. We're at the point in the season now where he needs to get paid.
Agreed. Excuse me. Yes, indeed. Captain Jack Rackham, do you got anything to add to this particular topic? I see you over there chomping at the bit.
Yeah, well, first off, you need a drop from Richard Pryor in Silver Street. Pay the man, because that you need that for this show. When these people have the contracts, just pay the man, and that's beautiful right there. I'm also very old, Robert. Look up history, because you say how the Steelers have been a franchise, a beautiful franchise. Only because you're a little on the younger side and you didn't know this, but from 1933 to 1970, they were the doormats. They were the doormats of the NFL. I know that's a little bit before your time. I understand
that might be before your time, bro. Like 1930. What?
Well, what I'm saying is that for 50 years, they've been a very classy franchise, but for the first 40 or so, they weren't. So basically, half the time, they weren't the greatest. But what happened is the four look it up, okay? They sucked until 1970. I'm just
we're not doubting that. I think we're looking at it just from the NFL standpoint. After the league was the actual NFL, not the AFL and NFL days. I think
they were almost, Coach. They were almost original NFL teams, like that dated back to like the Staleys and the Packers. That's how old they are. Okay, they were the Pittsburgh Pirates. Yes, they were. When they first started off as a franchise, they didn't become the Steelers, I think, until 1940. I'm just saying, I feel old. And then, Robert, you say the greatness of the Dolphins exists with Dan Marino. Look up a coach by the name of Don Shula. Look up a coach by the name of Don Shula, okay? That's all I'm saying. You're making me feel older than I am, dude, and I'm only 60, okay? Stop it, Robert. You're really upsetting me. You're really upsetting me.
Perfection Valley, 17-0, okay? Right?
I'm just saying, you know, the more you know, the better I am. Anyway, but by the way, Coach Dub, I don't know with McLaren, it's amazing that I think the Redskins were the last team to integrate.
Yeah,
you know, in fact, they changed their fight song. I'm pretty sure you know this as well. It used to be not for go for old Dick, for old DC. It used to be Dixie, which is how far behind that franchise has come. And thank God for that. Okay, that you had a team owner that would not even integrate, which is why they let all the Syracuse kid go to Cleveland to be with Jim Brown because they didn't want to have him on the team. And that was
Bobby Mitchell.
That was the original. Yeah. Thank God that they've gotten bad from that. But you know what? Ever since George Allen, and I'll even say when Lombardi was there for a year, and then he was followed by George Allen, those were the height. That was the height of the Redskins. And they've been teetering on not as bad as the stuff that we went over earlier with the Ohio stupid water, okay? But
stupid water.
I'm just saying, you know, they want to do something. I was very happy to see that and damn it, I know they're the Commanders. I know they're the Commanders. I don't know how you feel about the fact that to me they're always the Redskins. Just like the Chargers are always San Diego, even though that they started their first year in Los Angeles. I'm just saying there are things that just go with the flow, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's synonymous with how the Steelers have been for the last 50 years. The last 50 years has been a pretty good run. So the 30s, 40s, and 50s were all that great. But I think most people that watch the show would argue that they've been a model of success and stability for the last 50 years.
I'm old. I'm just saying. I like different history.
Okay. Yeah, I get it. Okay. All right.
I'm old. I get it. But when you say that the first off, Jalen Ramsey is probably going to go to the West Coast. I think he's going to go to the Rams because I don't know if the Chargers. I said Chargers, Coach. I said Chargers. I don't know if the Chargers want to overpay for another cornerback. Yeah, but putting Ramsey with his shipmate from FSU would be great, but I don't know whether they want to invest all of that money. I'm not sure. McLaren should get a contract, but it's one of those don't overpay him, but do pay. Well, TJ Watt, pay the man. He has been the epitome of what's been keeping that defense together for years. You know, everybody feeds off of TJ Watt. He is that guy that's on the centerpiece, the mantle, the one that you put up high. Yep. TJ Watt is that for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I said Steelers because that's correct on how you pronounce that. It's just the way,
I was waiting for that.
Yeah,
the old Captain Steelers.
So, the Steelers, and again, my hat's off. Literally, my hat's off to TJ Watt. By the way, you will notice in this hat, there's only one nation, Raider Nation. So stop saying you're a nation. For anybody that says that.
The Cowboy Nation, Steeler Nation, yeah, there's a lot of nations out
there. No, you're pissing me off.
My bad.
Trigger
warning. Trigger warning. Sorry.
Very, very, very quickly, just to echo what Captain Jack was saying, to the point of TJ Watt. He like he said, he is like the franchise right now. You don't have a QB. You don't have, he is the guy that everybody in the stadium has his jersey. I mean, he is like you said, just the epitome of nothing but, outstanding character, produces on the field. I mean, it's a no-brainer. Just sign him. Pay the man. You
can't talk top edge rushers without saying TJ Watt's name. Let's just be honest.
Yep.
You can't say that. So this should be no brainer. It's just about. Is it like I think we all can agree? It's not about if but when. That's really what it should boil down to. Yes, but
get that Richard Pryor drop. Get that Richard Pryor.
I'm gonna look it up. I'm gonna look it up because I like that. I like that.
Pay the man.
I like that. Coach Mike Dub, you got anything fresh to add on this particular topic?
No, I mean I think Terry gets paid. Number one, well, there are a few reasons why he gets paid. First and foremost, I don't think we want to be looked at. We want to separate ourselves from the previous regime as much as possible, which means we don't want to be looked at as the same way we were just talking about the Bengals. We don't want to be in those conversations. So We're heading in the right direction. Whatever our guys want, especially guys that produce, you'll get it. All right. This is the perfect time to ask for it. It's the perfect trajectory, new ownership. Like let's get this thing right. And then, like I think Robert mentioned it before, we got a rookie deal right now with our quarterback. So why not load him up with everything that he needs, give him all the tools he needs to be successful. So we might be playing hardball a little bit. That's just the name of the game. I guarantee you by week one, he'll be there, probably even before. Not worried about it. I agree 100%. Ramsey, it's just a foregone, any day now I'm looking for the notification to see where he goes.
Right.
I think all of us are. And same thing with TJ Watt. I think it's pretty clear there that I think they need something consistent in Pittsburgh that they can hang their hat on.
Yeah.
Because everything else that's happened in this offseason has been everything but that. So probably for the most consistent franchise, arguably in the last 30 years in the league, we're seeing a lot of inconsistency. So I think TJ Watt is the guy that they need to go back to solidifying the Steelers that we know them to be. So pretty much agreeing with everybody.
Okay. Real AG, bring us home on this topic. How you feel about this particular set of circumstances?
I'm just saying Aaron Rodgers can help the Steelers lose another Super Bowl just like he did the first time.
He could. He very well could.
You're right. Good job. Indeed.
But yeah, I don't have
Alex,
too much to add to it. I think everyone's kind of already hit the main points, but I would say that TJ Watt and Scary T are both, in that pay the man category, because, like you said, you got a stable wide receiver who's not 30 yet, Robert, just so you know. He's close, but not quite there.
Will he be 30? Will he be 30 when the season starts?
He'll be 30 when the season starts.
Okay,
yeah.
all right. Yeah.
But I mean, you're talking about a guy that has put up 1,000 yards every year, regardless of who's been throwing him the ball, and you finally have a good QB on a rookie deal. Let's keep some stability around that guy, and pay this receiver his due, who's been on a relatively cheap deal up to this point. TJ Watt, I think the Steelers can thank that other trash water team in Cleveland for paying Myles Garrett all that money, because then he said, well, hey, I've done more than this dude. Where's my slice of the cake? But both of those dudes, I think, get paid, and I agree that it's a win, not if, for Jalen Ramsey, because this dude has had a quorum with every team he's been on. It seems he can only be in a spot for like 2 years, and then he's got to move. So, it's inevitable. It's kind of just fits his brand. Go somewhere, semi-ball out, and then, piss his way out the door. but yeah, I kind of agree with everyone that I think we see TJ and Scary T get paid and Ramsey go somewhere. And if I'm a Chargers fan, I don't really want that dude, because he's going to come for 1 year, maybe 2, and then blow up internally in the locker room to get his way out somewhere.
Yeah, and I actually broached that topic on the Electric Shock podcast. Shameless plug to that. But I don't want Jalen Ramsey. I'll be honest. I would have took Jalen Ramsey 2 or 3 years ago. Maybe before he went to Miami, I would have taken him then. I would have taken him over that debacle that was J.C. Jackson for sure. I would have traded him in a heartbeat for that. But now at this particular moment in time, no. I think he disrupts the chemistry in the locker room. I think he's going to make a lot of noise. Yes, everybody likes the dream team of him and Derwin and all that good jazz, but what are you going to do with the guys you have that you're developing? You're going to stymie them and make them take a step back by not allowing them to be on the field, because he, with his price tag, has to be on the field at some point, either safety corner somewhere, and he's going to demand that. He's going to be loud about it. So I don't think the type of culture you're trying to build in LA with Harbaugh that you want that type of disruption in your locker room personally. No. Now, I will say that if Josh Harris's group decides they don't want to pay Terry because he's about to be 30, I will take him. Y'all gonna have Quentin Johnson in the draft pick.
Thanks.
Quentin Johnson.
Yeah, you got Debo.
We'll take him.
Appreciate
You got Eddie Lacy at wide receiver.
Oh, no.
So yeah, if they just want to get froggy, say they want to put their flag in the sand and say they don't want to pay him, he'll be welcome in LA. I'll drive out there myself. He lives out here with us. I'll drive him to LA myself. I'll do that.
You're gonna give him a ride from the DMV to LA.
I'll buy his plane ticket. He got to do all this.
Coach, don't give me hope, man. Don't do that.
I'm saying, I'll take him. I'll take him. Him and Ladd and McConkey sounds like a great combo. I'm just saying.
Well, let's say in the words of Nick Saban, it's not happening. So quit asking.
I like that. Indeed. But yeah, we'll see how things shake out. But I do agree that TJ Watt should absolutely positively pay TJ Watt whatever he wants, whatever he desires. Jalen Ramsey, go over there with the Rams and then disrupt that locker room, please, and keep it away from us in Charger land. And Terry, if you want to be a Charger, sure, but if not, definitely stay in Washington and get paid. And definitely get paid. So yeah, that's funny. Chargers are injury away from
Mike Dub could tell us about St. Juice.
Y'all are injury away from St. Juice. Get Ramsey now. Like now.
And then also, if I'm the Rams, like, why would I want to bring him back when he just blew up internally to get out of there?
Exactly.
On Ramsey.
Exactly. So, now, fun fact about his contract before we leave this: his contract is actually quite interesting because based upon a post June 1 trade, he actually is only a $9 million cap hit for the team getting him. And he will be, there's no guaranteed money in his contract after 2025. So it's actually not as bad as it seems in regards to trading for him. This is a question of what the Dolphins want in compensation. This is probably the only sticking point in this particular conversation right now. So we'll see.
Give you a fifth.
Right, I would say 6. He's 30. He's 31 actually. So yeah, I would give him a 6, but that's just me.
for 2 years of rental, I to give for a chance to get
Damn, he is
heart
30.
and skill to develop a bit, I would
Damn.
Yeah. So in other words, two of these guys pay the man, and Jalen Ramsey, I don't know.
Yeah. Jalen Ramsey, get out.
As you see what Captain Jack is doing, pay the man. Pay the man, pay the man, pay the man. Okay. All right, so wrap the show up. Let's talk about some franchise-changing moves. There's some guys that have signed here at post-June 1 after the draft, and they've come in and joined the teams for mini camps and OTAs, and there are some hot-button names. There are some household names in certain regards to what their career has been up to this point. So to bring this home, let's talk about the franchise-changing moves in regards to Nick Chubb, J.K. Dobbins, and Jair Alexander. Nick Chubb went to the Texans, adding to that running back room, which is amazing. J.K. Dobbins going to Denver to add to that room with him and R.J. Harvey. Interesting thing about that, because the Broncos don't like to run the ball, but, it might be me hating. I don't know. But Jair Alexander going to the Ravens seems like a game-changing move. So, Captain, I'd like to get your take on this particular one first. Let's talk about these particular gentlemen. Tell me what in this particular trio really has your mind wondering whether it'll work or not.
You basically said it. Jair Alexander going to the Ravens makes that defense that much better. I mean, that's just an extra piece. He can play corner and safety if they, if he can't play one, he can play the other. His problem is not always been, but as of late, is how many games are you going to get out of him? Same thing with Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb going to the Texans is fantastic as well. It's just a matter of what you're going to do for it. And Dobbins going to the Broncos makes that running game a lot more palatable for Sean Payton. And the fact is that, and I tell you, it's one of those things where you go intra-division. I tell you, for Charger fans, you don't want to see that gentleman in the backfield when they're playing you, because that's one of those games. And I'll tell you what, the real Givens knows this as well. When Marcus Allen used to play the Raiders when he was a Chief, man, it was bad news. It was bad news Bears type of thing, where he would just run over the Raiders just for the way to just say, look at what I'm doing in these colors. And Dobbins going to the Broncos against the Chargers on that game, providing he's healthy, mind you, that's the big theme. I do, and like DZ said, a great fit in Denver with Peyton. Chubb's going to be really decent. I think Zaire is probably going to be the best of the bunch, though. I think making that Ravens defense even better with a very, very awesome defensive back. Throw him in the mix, whether he can play starting quarter, nickel corner, or even throw him in at safety. Pay the man, is what they're going to be doing with him. And they did. He got to a great franchise.
Okay. Good stuff. Coach Mike Dubb, how you feel about this? I know you had some things to talk about in regards to Jair signing. I know we talked about that backstage.
Yeah. I think Jair definitely I say that could be the move. I mean, it could be the move. They're point few moves away from getting over the hump. But yeah, I think Jair is definitely the best move on here, followed by I like Dobbins to Denver. We talked a lot about Denver making those moves that they made over the offseason and really trying to position themselves to, at least compete for the AFC West. So I like the move by Dobbins. Listen, I watched Nick Chubb play last year. I think he's done. I hope that I'm wrong. I just don't see the explosiveness. And I know he's coming off of an injury and it takes, 2 years to really come back like that. But, we know how far the drop-off is for running backs. I just don't see him making an impact the way that, we think he's going to be, or the Nick Chubb that we're used to seeing in Texas and Houston. So I think that's probably, if I had to rank him, I'd say Jair definitely moves the needle. JK helps. Nick Chubb, not at all.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Wow. Nick Chubb, not at all. That's interesting.
And listen, I thought I was being ahead of the curve, drafting him in every league that I played in last year.
There it is. There is the underlying.
It's a little bit personal.
It's out of spite.
Always one.
It's out of spite.
Yeah, it's a
You
little
know,
spiteful.
I thought I had all the tools, you know, and then
dirty.
he came back. You know what I
Turn
mean?
that
But
screw, baby.
Yeah.
Turn that screw.
Amazing. It is amazing how fantasy, I guess you could say fortune or famine, turns your opinion on guy and how you play.
The truth
made me do.
shall set you free.
Right.
I'm telling you.
Salvation
Listen,
lie
it's the truth.
within. Salvation lie within.
But what happened is I watched every snap he took because he was on my team, because I couldn't wait for him to go crazy so I could trade him. I watched every snap he took, and that's how I came to the conclusion that he just isn't explosive like he used to be. He wasn't hitting the hole, you know what I mean? So, it's yes, I did. That's the truth behind it. But the truth led to me actually. Yeah, I actually did watch every carry he had last year, and I just didn't see what we saw from him in previous years.
But at least you have some credence behind your hatred. So
at least you did the homework, you know.
I did the homework.
Not just straight out of spite from seeing a 0.2 point scored a game or something.
Yeah. Right. Spite led me to the homework.
Yeah. Hey.
Oh my God.
Nice. Young RG, what do you have in this? Who you have ranking in your rankings? Who moves the needle? Who doesn't for you?
It's got to be Jair Alexander. No doubt about it. I think the Ravens, this was a slam dunk signing for them. The fact that he was even available is crazy. I'm still kind of blown away the fact that he was just simply released. But it is what it is. So, we're here now. And I just think in a conference that's insanely loaded, the Ravens the Ravens, the Bills, the Chiefs, those are all teams that you always feel like you're always constantly trying to improve. Chiefs maybe a little less so because they're just so damn good internally that they really don't need to look for outside talent as much. Yeah, shut up. But either way, I think these other teams that want to dethrone the Chiefs, you're always constantly looking to upgrade, and Jair Alexander on basically almost every team is an upgrade at corner, minus maybe the Broncos and maybe Pats. I'm trying to, there's some other ones that I'm totally blanking on right now. But point is, Jair Alexander is a damn good corner, and he should not have been available. He should not have gone to this good of a team, but he now is. So only time will tell how good that will be. I love the JK move. Well, I love and hate the JK move to Denver. I love it as a neutral fan. It makes so much sense. DZ already mentioned the fit with Peyton. Thank you.
Sean.
I don't know why I was trying to say Sean, but yeah, Sean Payton.
You guys are buddies.
It just makes all the sense in the world. And I think they drafted was it Judkins?
RJ
Harvey, I'm sorry. Oh my God, yeah. There's so many damn running backs went in this draft. I can't even remember. But yeah, they took RJ Harvey in the later rounds.
Jesus.
Oh man. God, Tillery, that's a name. How about that? But yeah, so I think
hey.
That's right. I forgot he was
a Raider. Man's about to collect the infinity gauntlet of AFC West jerseys.
Right.
Oh, that's crazy.
I tell you what, the best hit that Jerry Tillery ever made as a Raider was going after your boy
on Herbert.
Yeah, I know. I had a feeling you were bringing that one up.
A late hit.
Yeah, the late hit. But yeah, so I just think it made all the sense in the world for him to go there. Obviously, the Chargers were never going to re-sign him, given the fact that they signed Najee and drafted Hampton. So he was never going to be running back 3 on this roster. There at Denver, he very well could compete for the starting role. So yeah, I thought that was a great signing for them. Nick Chubb, yeah, I love Nick Chubb. I absolutely hate this move because the Texans O-line is dumpster fire, and I would not be surprised if it's ranked bottom 3 come end of the year. So the worst thing for an aging running back is a horrible O-line. It's one thing to lose your step. It's another thing to maybe not even be able to collect a first step when the pocket is instantly collapsed on handoff. So
wow.
Chubb, I'm sorry. I love you, man. I think as neutral fans and as just football fans, we'd love to see a resurgence from him. I just don't see it happening.
All right. Oh, that's good stuff. That's good stuff. Real AG, bring us home on this one. Tell me how you feel about these three guys.
Yeah. So I'm pretty much right in line with Mike Dubb and Young RG on sort of the rankings of them. I may be a little more optimistic on Chubb than some, but first and foremost, I think it is just absolutely sickening as a Chiefs fan that Jair Alexander went to the Baltimore Ravens. Just when you consider who he's paired with, I don't know how anyone is going to pass on them, because you're talking about he's jumping into a fold with Marlon Humphrey, Nate Wiggins, Owozie, who they signed this offseason. And then, you got Kyle Hamilton and then Malachi Starks, who's a guy we've all talked about as being a potential needle moving draft pick. I mean, it's just absolutely absurd to think, how is anyone going to have an effective, passing offense against that secondary without Jair? And then you add him in, that is certain. I mean, it's going to make it damn near impossible. So I think that first and foremost, that is the most franchise changing move. And with RG on this one, I can't believe the Packers didn't trade him somewhere and just were like, F it, get out of here.
Give me a seventh. Give me something.
Get something back. Yeah. Send him someplace out of spite, Send him to Jacksonville. Do something. Send him to Cleveland. I don't know. But it's crazy how it all played out.
Wait. Well, hold on. Let's calm down there, all right? I don't know if anybody deserves that kind of punishment.
And for some of the stuff that guy did in Green Bay, that's probably what I would do if I was running things. I mean, calling him, making himself a captain, going just all that crazy stuff. But I think that is the biggest changing move. I think Dobbins, kind of like what everyone else has said, is a perfect fit in Denver in that Peyton system, and I think it helps alleviate some of the pressure that was going to be on RJ Harvey, which is how that room looked after the draft. So, you don't have everything being pushed on this rookie guy, and you got a guy who's established and maybe carry some injury concerns. But I mean, if you have a 1-2 punch, which it seems to be a lot of NFL teams are trying to go to now, kind of taking that Ben Johnson Detroit model, I think it could be pretty successful for Denver, which also pains me to say as a Chiefs fan. And I think it's kind of a little bit of the same flavor with the Chubb signing in Houston, pairing him with Mixon, because you got two guys who are, on the wrong side of father time for a running back. But then you got, if Chubb pans out or is just a little bit better than he was, then you got two decent running backs, and you don't have to put all the carries on one guy, and that might help change the pace and help things with the offensive line woes that they have. But, just given Chubb's age and injury history, I know he can still squat 1,000 pounds. But like Mike Dubb said, that the explosiveness is not there anymore, or, maybe it at least wasn't there last year, and maybe another offseason and him kind of being motivated from just the sheer lack of teams that were knocking on the door to bring him in. We see a little bit of a rejuvenation, but I just don't think it's there for him, just with how his career's gone. I brought that word back out.
Oh no, you said it again. Damn it!
It's my game within the game. This show. How many times do I say rejuvenation?
Right. You get pins every time you say it.
If you were playing the word with Groucho Marx, you would have won like $1,000 or something.
There you go. There you go. So I'm cautiously optimistic about the Nick Chubb thing. I heard a sports doctor talk about his injury, and he said it was his year 2 was going to be the moment where he gets back to any type of relevancy and dominance from his running style. So hopefully year 2 in building strength back in those legs would hopefully allow for him to not only be fresh and ready and get more back to the Nick Chubb of old, but he doesn't have to do the entire lion's share of the work when it comes down to what he's doing in Houston, because he has Joe Mixon, he has Dameon Pierce there. So I got a 3-headed monster there that you don't have to basically shoulder all the carries on your own. So there could be a situation where it does work out. I think the Texans are interesting because they have a combination of O-linemen that it's like they got a bunch of good interior ones. They got one good tackle. If they put it together right, it could be okay. But if they don't put it together right, it could be a disaster. So it just all really just depends on how their O-line deploys come week 1 and who they roll out there, who's healthy, and who they roll out in when the games start to matter, will determine whether or not they have any success throwing or running, in all honesty, because I think that they have all the talent in the world. They got great receiving core. They got 3 good running backs. You got a great quarterback. You got a stellar defense. I mean, it's literally all right there ahead of you. The O-line is going to be the determining factor whether or not they're good or not. So I think that's where it lands with Nick Chubb for me. Jair Alexander is cheating. I mean, we all can agree to that.
Yeah,
he's absolutely positively cheating, and that just might have made them the best secondary in the league. I don't think it's one better at this moment. I think on top of my head, I can't think of a better secondary top to bottom between corners and safeties. There's not a better secondary in the league if they all play. I think the Broncos ironically rival it a little because they drafted Jair Barron in the first round with Andy Ufunga in free agency. So you got added to that already stellar defense. So I think they're going to be good as well.
What about cussing with Ufunga? I mean, come on, man. That's great.
Yes, indeed. So yeah, but I think clear cut the Ravens are going to be the cream of the crop when it comes to pass defense in this league. If they can get a pass rush finally at some facet when Mike Green and the guys they already have in the house, they're going to be a problem. That's for sure. That's for sure. Now the J.K. Dobbins move, again, his health is always a consideration, but if they can split carries with him and RJ Harvey, I think the Broncos are sneaky. And I think Raiders fans, Chiefs fans, and Chargers fans all should be looking over our shoulder thinking Broncos actually going to be good this year. I think just going to be honest about it. As an NFL analyst, I think we can all agree that they're going to be good.
This division's going to be good this year.
They're already good.
You think they're going to win the West, Cap?
Yeah, I think they're going to win the West.
You heard it here first. Captain Jack Rackham thinks the Broncos are going to win. Yeah. Breaking news. Breaking news. Okay.
I've said it on my show a couple different times. So it's breaking here. But I do think that the Broncos win the AFC West this year.
There you go. Okay, you heard it here first. You heard it on the Lockdown Diva Sports Network here and Captain Jack Rackham's voice and voice alone, because the I guess you can say because the other fans are in the room here. I think that the opinions of Captain Jack Rackham aren't necessarily the opinions of the whole network. So
everyone's entitled to one.
Yeah, but it's not far fetched though. We can't argue that it's not far fetched. It's possible. And I think it all depends on what Bo Nix does in year 2. I think it ultimately depends on what the Chiefs do, and then that's kind of how it's going to be until the Chiefs lose the division. You know, when a team runs the division for so long, and the Patriots can attest to this. You know, I'm sure Bills fans, Jets fans, Dolphins fans said the same thing every year when Brady was there. This is the year we can do it. This is the year we break through. It's, until it happens, this division will be a dogfight though. Absolutely. 100%. No quarrel for me on that. This division. I mean, I project everyone to go 3-3. Like, I would not be shocked one bit if every single team in that division split every single division game and just went clean 500 across the board for all 4 teams. Not a bad take. But Robert is right, though. In the words of Ric Flair.
Man, you got to beat the man, baby. And right now, I am the man.
There you have it. There you have it.
So, yeah. I like that. Hey, like I said, add pay to man to that, and you're in there.
We're good to go. All right.
I want everybody to know that was not pre-discussed. That was totally on the fly. So that just goes to show.
10 out of 10 on the production skills there.
Indeed. All right. So yes, indeed. That is going to wrap up our show for this week, this month. And June is out of here like it has somewhere to be. So we're about to hit July. Training camp is around the corner. If you're looking for the gang, the Hit Squad, the socials are on the screen here. If you watch this on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter Live, wherever you're watching this from, hit those guys up. If you have questions about their teams, about NFL analysts, questions in general, please hit those guys up. If you're looking for the Lockdown Diva Sports Network in its entirety, as always, hit that subscribe button and let the algorithm know we're booming out here in the streets. We're doing big things. Please hit that subscribe button. It is free to do. Please drop us a line if you're looking for us on any social media platform. If you want to ask general questions about the network, or if you're old school, you want to send us an email. We're well within your rights to do that as well. Yes, indeed. So,
give your real address. It's snail mail. You got to go there. Give your address.
We got a PO box. We're in the works. PO box.
We got a virtual office.
Carrier pigeon.
PO box.
There you go.
It up once a month.
Indeed. So any final words from the panel before we get out of here? Any final words? Captain Jack Rackelman, it's been a blast to have you here today.
Yes, sir.
And we appreciate you coming through, and we'd love to have you in the future. Any final takes, any final things you want to get off, as far as your takes are concerned?
Watch that. Talking about getting off. I said watch your mouth. Okay? And I've been the clean one tonight.
Yeah,
I've been the clean one tonight.
It's just your aura, Cap. It brings it out of people. I don't know what it is. You just badly influence people's thinking. That's all I can say. I still can't get the rejuvenation word out of my head. Alex said it twice already. I just can't get it out of my head.
Rejuvenated? Talk about rejuvenation? The next person to say shenanigans, I'm pistol whipping. Hey, Farva, what's that place you like?
I like the shenanigans. It was fun, and I will plan to be here as often as possible. And if I'm invited back, if I'm invited back, because
you behave well, Cap. You're definitely invited back. You behave yourself well.
Okay. So, in the immortal words of John Lennon, I'd like to thank you on behalf of the band. I hope we pass the audition. That get back. 1970. Again, yes, I'm old. Get used to it, but I have a lot of knowledge. So that,
indeed,
yes,
indeed,
I enjoyed it, Coach. I enjoyed it, Alex. Good seeing you, Robert. And Coach Mike, great to meet you as well in here. I will see you week 3. Inshallah, and God willing, that I will be, because again, no day is ever promised. So it's been fun.
Absolutely.
That is a fact. That is a great way to end it. That is a great way to end it, Cap. Yep. So until next time, we're going to probably do this particular genre of live shows monthly until the season starts. We're going to do one next month in July. And then we're going to kick it off probably early August to get things rolling for the preseason and rolling right into the regular season for the NFL. So look out for that. Always follow us on socials if you need to keep up with the channel and what we're doing daily. Check out our content each and every day, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're doing preseason previews all the way up through training camp. So check that out. Really good content. And until then, man, we're going to keep doing this thing big for y'all. And we appreciate y'all's support. And till then, that is the real AG Alex Givens. Captain Jack Rack was in the building. Coach Mike Dub is here with us, and young RG, the young Padawan for the network, is here as always. And I'm Coach Defense. As always, you got to do one thing: step up and lock it down.